No se miran, I can see through, pero cuando usted se empieza a acercar, se hace difícil.
The Navy Pier, vamos a ir. Y después vamos a subirnos en esos botes y nos va a manejar por todo el borde de Chicago.
Aquí mismo es el George, puede ser y el Sky de casi no.
Where is it? Over there. Like there. I still don't. Like next to the little forest place, you know, and then there's that long road. Like the
Forest place.
you see the trees right at the corner right there, right? Let me try to find something that's descriptive. Okay, you find that singled out building.
Oh,
That's
yo lo veo.
yeah.
Pero ha sido como parte de un building.
What in the world?
That was the tallest structure.
We did like break?
No, in 1800.
Like
Because they didn't need anything.
the size of a house.
And well, from here it would start. Because even that building that has so many floors looks small. Where?
Hold on. There. In the ocean by next to Navy Pier. Like
Wow, yeah.
to the right.
Súper abajo y parece que estoy yendo en el agua.
Well,
Desde
Harvey's
acá.
gonna rescue someone.
Claro.
Who do you think is gonna rescue them?
A person in need. Assistance. Esa piscina claramente como va de menos depth a más.
No es que a mí no es así de lejos tampoco, para que sea así de fácil, pero como que todavía.
Like demographic check as well. Does anyone remember the old cartoon He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? They had a reboot on Netflix not too long ago with Sarah Michelle Gellar as the voice of Teela. That's where my parents got my name. If I was a boy, I might know is like off the southwest coast of Australia in the ocean there. So I always kind of say it's Australia and India who generally come the farthest to get to Chicago. But we've got a little bit of both. I don't have any prizes for you. Art in French, Art Deco, my personal favorite style. There's a lot of that in this city. Then there's modernism, very popular in like the 50s and 60s, ultimately very plain. And then postmodernism, which is a style that we're still building in today. It's basically big glass boxes. Anytime you see big glass boxes, probably postmodern. But there is one big box of a building, pretty iconic, that you had a pretty nice view of, and I am all about the drama. So instead, the building I'm going to start with is off to the right a little bit, and it's inland. Up ahead there, you'll see a tall stone tower with strong vertical lines, a peaked roof, and a silver statue on top. That is the statue on top. That is Ceres, the Roman goddess of grain and abundance. And what do you think the first things traded in Chicago were in the late 20s? It was grains, right? The Midwest is the bread baskets, a lot of corn, a lot of wheat. And so Ceres, the goddess of grain and then abundance, is exactly who you want on top of your building. But that statue is technically unfinished. It doesn't have a face. And there's two reasons that people argue. One, it was built for Sears and Roebuck, the department store. And for the kids, a department store is like Amazon, but inside a building. Should give you an idea. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. They had a big mail order catalog department, so there were thousands. Recession hit. Sears was hit real hard. They laid off a lot of employees and ultimately moved out of the building, leaving a lot of empty floor space. And folks started to move in, but nobody was really willing to pay extra to name the building after themselves. So the building owners decided, well, you know what? It'll be good for us. Let's just offer the naming rights to whoever buys the most floor space. No extra charge. In 2009, that was Willis, an insurance firm from the UK. They bought 4 floors in a 110-story building. They have the naming rights till 2025. So, bearing pillars, those are there just for decoration. If you were to knock out the bottom couple floors of the Boeing building right here, of the shorter section, it would be completely stable, structurally sound. It would look pretty crazy, open and just kind of dangling above the ground like that, but the math checks out. It is stable and secure. Isn't that so fun? I don't know what Boeing's doing about that, but it makes sense for a salt shaker building. And then the final, because it's all you want to do things in threes, right? It's good repetition. Next one of the amazing partners, they're a German firm, and they had to deal with some new Chicago River ordinances that said you had to have an easement. You had to have space between your building and the river. Very different from what the Merck was doing. And so they had an even smaller piece of land that they had to work with. So what they ended up doing was just folks, I'm hopping back on the mic. Don't feel like you need to rush back to your seats. I'm going to talk no matter what you do, I promise. But as we're rounding these kind of yellow mid-rise towers, I want folks to look to your left. There's going to be a gap in between this building and the high-rise next to, or mid-rise next to it. And you're going to be able to see in the distance really the only decent view of an iconic Chicago building that we get on this tour. Black tower with X's on the outside and white antennae on top. There she is. The John Hancock Center, ladies and gentlemen. That is the 5th tallest building in Chicago, built in 1968. Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, the firm behind that design. Those are the same folks that did the Sears Tower. But here's the thing. The John Hancock Center is not the John Hancock Center. Not anymore. Scandalous, I know. Turns out, actually, several years ago, the John Hancock Insurance domed building is the jeweler's building, built in the early 1920s, and the dome on top was said to have been a speakeasy called the Stratosphere Lounge, owned by Alphonse Capone, the greatest mayor Chicago never had. The green building with a gold on top, that is the Carbide and Carbon building, another Art Deco design, but from the late 1920s. The architects for the Carbide and Carbon were the Burnham brothers, and they hated Prohibition. They thought it was stupid, because it was, though. Check out the blue and silver striped Royal Sonesta Hotel. Now that's your pretty average 80s era hotel building. Nothing too architecturally significant there, but underneath Royal Sonesta are floor-to-ceiling windows. That was Bruce Wayne's penthouse in The Dark Knight, where he had the fundraiser party for Harvey Dent. The Joker showed up, threw Maggie Gyllenhaal out the window. Store. And that, of course, has some lovely Art Deco striping, but it's also got that gorgeous neo-Gothic ornamentation up on the top. And I mentioned that the Tribune Tower is now residential. A studio apartment in Tribune Tower starts at $3,300 a month. Yeah, first, the building owners actually cut the marble very thin, but it was too thin. Real hot in the summer, real cold in the winter. That marble was under a lot of stress. It became extra brittle, started cracking and crumbling off of the building. Very, very dangerous. So just a couple of years after it was completed, they actually tore down all of the marble and replaced it with the North Carolina granite that's on the building today at the cost of $1 million per floor. 82 stories. That's twice what it cost to build it in the first place. The moral of this story, folks, never take your marble for granted. Sorry, that is got when you get home. Oh, I forgot. Oh, now I can't remember the name of this building. Shoot. I wish there was an easier way to remember. It's the only joke it's safe to make these days. But ladies and gentlemen, the second tallest building in Chicago, Trump International Hotel and Tower. Built in 2000. A lot of urban flight. People were moving to the suburbs. Cars were more common, more affordable. People were moving out to the suburbs because they were also more affordable, they were cleaner, nicer, safer, what have you. But most of those people were still commuting into the city for work. Volvo thought that was a mistake. He thought you should be able to live nearby where you work, but still have all of those amenities available to you without having to drive 20 minutes to go to Target. So, they've got it all. They've got boat docking, car parking, shopping, dining, a laundromat, a bowling alley, and bank. Once upon a time, they even had their own movie theater. That part of the building is still there. It's just been converted to the House of Blues these days, which is a fantastic venue. They do a great gospel brunch on the weekends. I went crowd surfing for the first and last time. There was an interesting lawsuit concerning that. The Riverbend condos off to the right there, they were losing their view down the main branch, one of the best views in the city. And you can see their lawsuit didn't do really well because the Wolf Point Tower still got built. You see, it was decided that there is no guaranteed view. Things like these two. These are both Art Deco, built in the 1920s. On our right is 2 North Riverside, the old Daily News building, built in 1925. This is actually referencing the Great Sphinx in Egypt. The clock towers are supposed to be the paws. It was built shortly after the discovery of King Tut's tomb, and everyone in the States was a little obsessed with Egyptian culture at the time. But of course, we can't not talk about the Civic Opera building on our left. Of course, Art Deco, because we see those strong vertical lines. But the Opera House actually have, you know, the fumes from the cars and the noise from the traffic. The only way to get to this park is to walk through the neighborhood. So it's always a little bit cleaner, a little bit quieter until I come by going, I love this park. Beautiful pagoda-style pavilion, and best thing, it's got a view of this super cool bridge. Now, I think all bridges are cool. It's an engineering thing, you know. I appreciate the math, but I don't type of traffic that needs to pass underneath it. This is a lift bridge, and all the bridges that we've passed under today do lift, except for the one Chicago Street Bridge that was silver. They took the old one out and replaced it with one that doesn't open. But this one lifts straight up on both of these towers. It can go 200 feet in the air in about 45 seconds if they put it at full tilt. It is a train bridge, though, so if you needed to pass underneath this, the trains get priority. My husband is a captain. He does boat deliveries for sailboats with their masts and stuff, so we...
parte donde están los señores, dices. Del otro edificio que tiene las decoraciones.
Melhorar a cidade.
She did it with the others, or she did it? She did.
After we were stopping, Él se escapó del atrás, ¿verdad? ¿Quién era?
Otro.
It's like slowly getting night over there. Like none of the street lights are coming on over there.
Oh, I made sure to get that in the back of that.
Ah, listo.
We're gonna see.
Ahora va el mío.
Wow, mine won. Mine did not win anymore. No está acá adentro. Oh wait, ¿me salió? I think this one was mine. Ugh. Wow, how does it feel to be a loser?
Stubborn.
In 1860, in November, I don't even remember where the election was. But the election era entre Lincoln y David algo or something like that. And the reason why this exact election is so significant era porque Lincoln was elected, but then people
Dog excessive.
yeah. But everyone was like, well, that's so unfair. Porque they were like, I demand a recount because Douglas was supposed to win. Like, it was all of the United States voting. And they were like, well, we need our slaves here because that's our way of working. And they were like, And then Lincoln ended up getting elected. And then that was whenever South Carolina was like, you know what? I'm going. I don't want to be a part of this if y'all are not going to let me have my slaves. Because Lincoln, he never said that he was going to take it away. He just said that he did not want it to expand. He said, well, y'all can keep y'all slaves, but it's not going to expand any further. And then everyone in the southern states was like, no, I'm not having it. So then Southern Carolina left, and all of the slave states left too. They were like, we are gone. And then I think that's where I got the name from. Then a guy obviously needed to have a president, and now they made the Confederate States. So then they were like, well, we're going to have our own place. And then Lincoln was like, dude, I literally stood out, y'all can have your slaves, just come back. Just come back home, you know? He was like, I will do anything if y'all just come back. I just want us to be all United States, you know? He didn't care. He was like, y'all can come back and y'all can have your slaves again. I just don't want us to leave. And then they were like, we're gone. And they were like, if you want us to come back, you're going to have to go to war with us. We're not coming back. And he was like, I don't want to go to war. And they're like, well, we do, so we're going to war. And then they started a whole entire war, which is called the Civil War. It's called the Civil War. And then that was over all the slaves. And they were just like, I just want y'all to come back. And then, but remember, this is important stuff too. In the Civil War, it all started off with the United States coming down to the Confederate States until there was the Battle of Antietam, which, no, it was the Battle of possibly Gettysburg, which I think was the turning point, which is where okay, in the beginning, the Confederate States were losing and then the Union was winning. It's because that's the Gettysburg Address, which is completely different. Whole different thing. I don't remember which one. It was the Battle of Gettysburg, which was a turning point, and then it was also, which was the single So the Battle of Antietam was the single deadliest one-day battle in the American military history. showed that the Union could stand against the Confederate Army in the Eastern Theater. It also gave President Abraham Lincoln the confidence to issue the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation as a moment of strength rather than desperation, because he was a strong man and he knew what he was doing. And he was like, you know what? I've had enough. This just cannot be. Y'all slaves gotta go, because it's causing problems, it's separating us, it's dividing us. We're all just trying to live together. And then he was like, you know what? No more slaves. All slaves are free now. And then all of the slaves were like, what? And then the Confederacy was like, what? So then all of them were free, and then they were all trying to like leave because they were afraid that if they stayed there, then they would get taken again. But a lot of them were like tortured into staying there because, you know, they didn't want to release their slaves. And then fast forward, the Civil War is over, right? Then everyone's like, hip hip hooray, the Confederacy's back, woohoo! And then the Confederacy was like, okay, we're back, but like, there's gotta be something in it for us, you know? How is this whole like Reconstruction thing gonna work, you know? And then they were like, I think that we should just like meet. So in the theater, right, where Lincoln was brutally murdered, I'm kidding, he was just shot, but in the theater, he was shot whenever he was saying about what he wanted to do. For the Reconstruction plan, right? And then there was 3 different options. Radical Republicans plan, Abraham Lincoln's plan, and the Andrew Johnson plan, which Lincoln's plan was called the lenient plan, because basically what he was saying is we forgive everyone who was like torturing the slaves, and we give them rights, we give them homes, like we're just gonna make them all equal, you know? But he was being super lenient, and he was just like willing to forgive everyone for leaving the Confederacy. Then Andrew Johnson's plan was like, we'll forgive them, but they need to come to us to prove themselves. Like they need to come to someone in the government, and then the government will choose whether or not we forgive them, depending on what they did. But then the slaves will all get equal rights and everything. And then there was the Radical Republicans, which were like, yeah, no, we're not forgiving the Confederacy. They left. They're bad. They don't deserve our trust. So they just don't get equal rights. But then everyone was going to go for Lincoln's plan until he got shot in the theater. So then they were like, okay, well now what plan are we going to follow? Because they had to vote for someone else. And then like basically nothing else happened except for the Reconstruction plan, and then everyone being like super unfair and not letting them vote. And then there was the 13th Amendment, which gave that the 13th Amendment said that everyone is equal. All slaves are like humans. And there was the 13th Amendment gave all males the right to vote, whether they were black, whether they were white, whether anything. They gave them the right to vote. And then the 14th Amendment gave them the right to get a civilization and be citizens of the United States. And then the 15th Amendment gave women the right to vote, which was called to vote, okay? And then after that there was the Reform Movement, which basically was mentally disabled people in prisons. They would get treated better and like be sent to hospitals to help them with their mental diseases and not just put into prison. because they were being mistreated and then basically just worsening their like issues. And then also there was the reform movement, which was to end all slavery. That was like before that. And then there was also the women's. Who cares? I can't remember the word. And then there was also. Oh, the education system, which was by Henry Lloyd, maybe? Who knows? But basically he was saying kids should not be working. They should be at school learning. And maybe after the age of 14 they can legally work, but they should be in school learning. And at least 6 months a year. And then they were like, fine, you can get your little education system. And then every kid was learning and not working in farms. And they were also very they were criminals back then because they had too much time and they weren't at school getting their education. Not basically.
Mrs. Parks was getting off of work. She was a seamstress at a department store. She was coming home from work and she was kind of tired. She would have put her dime in the slot right there, and the bus driver would have told her to step off the bus and go in through the back door right there because it was illegal for her to walk through this section if there were white people sitting here. So Mrs. Parks got on the back of the bus there. She came and she sat right in the seat right here. It was the only seat that was open at the time, and that was perfectly fine. She was allowed to sit there. There was 3 other people sitting in the row with her, and the bus went on its way. A couple stops later, a white person got on, and there was no seats here. It was illegal for a white person to stand if there were African Americans sitting in this section here. We couldn't even sit in the same row as each other at that time. So the bus driver got up, he told this row that they had to move to the back of the bus so the one person could sit down. The 3 people that were with Mrs. Parks got up and moved to stand. Mrs. Parks kind of slid over and refused to move. The bus driver threatened her with arrest at that time, and she still refused to move. She knew what was going to happen at that point, and she was taken to the Montgomery City Jail that night. She was fined $14 for her actions, which is about $180 in today's money. She never paid that till the day she died. At that point, the NAACP had been waiting to launch the bus boycott. And what they were waiting for is somebody to be the face of the movement going forward. There were several other cases that had already worked their way. They were working their way through the courts at the time. One of them was a young lady named Claudette Colvin. The NAACP didn't want to have
I'm assuming that you just have your pack your bags and this is honestly comfortable like for a plane. Like maybe not for like hours of it, but it does the trick. But how would it stay? That's my question.
Lea, que yo no sé. Ven, se acaba de enterar que DC es District of
I
Columbia.
thought that it was like DC.
DC. Ah, entonces empezó Trump y luego continuó en eso. Ah, claro. Ah, qué chiste, fueron todo cerrado.
$1865.